As guitar players, our life has never been better. We are living in a time where we have access to incredibly high quality instruments for very little money. But like everything in life, often it's about compromises, right? Is the JS-400 one of those compromises? Well, let's find out. Before we dive in, do me a favor and go check out some of my other videos because I think you'll find them very useful. And as always, let me know what guitars, what amps, and what products you want to see on this channel and you want to get an honest, unbiased opinion on. Let me start by saying that this guitar, along with another one, which we'll be reviewing in a couple of weeks, were kindly sent to me by Jet Guitars and they asked me to review them. Now, in no way did they ask me to say something, and all the thoughts that you'll see in this video are my own, and I feel very comfortable in expressing all my opinions. Now that that's out the way, let's look at what we're dealing with here. This in the Jet lineup is the second guitar starting from the lower end. So I believe you get the 300 series, which is both in a T-shape and an S-shape guitar. And then you get the 400 series, which comes with a nice humbucker in the bridge. So let's talk about the specs. You have traditional tuners on here. They're not locking. Then you have a bone nut, which, can I just add, is an incredible touch. Standard S-type scale length, but with a very, very nice roasted maple neck. The fingerboard is also roasted maple. This is Canadian maple. I believe some of these guitars, depending on the color, also come with a rosewood fingerboard, but this one is all maple, and all of these are roasted. And can I just add, you can tell that it is actually roasted and it's not just painted to look like roasted, which I have the suspicion some companies tend to do, but it looks very, very nice. It feels very smooth as well. Frets are pretty standard, medium jumbo frets here. You have a basswood body with a 2-point tremolo, which is also a very nice addition. 2-point trem. Normally you would expect, I believe the 300 series has a 6-point trem. This one is a 2, so they've obviously spent a bit of time in upgrading this series. Then you have, as I mentioned, a humbucker, single. These are all ceramic pickups. We will see how they sound, but very versatile in terms of pickups. The controls. So you have a 5-way switch, which is pretty standard, but then you only have one volume and one tone. So they've taken a slightly different approach here, maybe more hot rodish to go along with the humbucker, slightly more modern, getting rid of one of the volumes, but one volume, one tone. This one is in a nice vintage yellow, and it looks very, very well finished. There are absolutely no defects, no paint defects. I cannot tell you how many parts it is. Nope, I cannot tell you that. But one thing to mention is they worked quite hard to get this neck access heel joint carved nicely, because it does make a massive difference, and reaching those top frets becomes very easy and very comfortable. So you can see it has a very carved shape here. First impressions is really a very nice take on a classic shape, but with some comfortable modern appointments. Everything feels solid. It's a nice weight. It's light, but it's not flimsy. So very, very nice. I've got to say, the neck, just looking at it and feeling it, is outstanding. This guitar currently retails at about 160, 170 bucks, so well under that 200 price point, and just on paper it does feel like a lot of guitar for your money. It doesn't feel like they've cut any corners here at all. Most guitars, and a lot of the ones that I've been reviewing that I think you guys would be interested in are fantastic. The level of guitars has gone up exponentially. It's an incredible time to start guitar, to start playing guitar. It's really a great time for young people to start playing guitar. So if you have kids and you want them to start playing guitar, you are very, very lucky, because the quality overall has shot up. And guitars manufactured in China like this one, or Indonesia, across the world, are of a very high standard. For more experienced players, as I always mention, it offers you a great way to mod, personalize your guitar, or bring out a guitar that is professional, sounds good, and you don't need to spend a lot of money. What I found in my experience is that in a lot of the cases, and a lot of the guitars that I've reviewed on this channel, you need to compromise on something, because something has to give. Nothing is perfect, because otherwise they'd be doing the highest end guitars for no money at all. But something normally has to give. Often what gives, or the shortfalls for these kind of guitars at these price ranges, are the pickups, the electronics, the bridge, if it has a trem or a wiggly stick. So there is always something that can be done better. As you can tell in some of the sound samples in this video, I went really quite wild on the trem, more than I would normally do, simply because I wanted to really put it through its paces and see how it worked, because it's a 2-point trem. It's a bit of an upgrade from the 300 series, and I wanted to see how the trem, the action, and the nut worked all together. This is the first point that we need to talk about. This trem is unbelievable. Very, very good. It doesn't say what brand it is. It doesn't say anything about it. It is very, very good. I have had absolutely no tuning issues. I've had no issues with it coming back to pitch. We need to mention, obviously, that there is a very, very well cut bone nut. It makes it very easy to do bar chords at the first fret. The action is very low, so the guitar generally has been set up very well. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning, this guitar has been sent to me, so I do not know whether they did a specific setup before sending it out to me, but I would assume that it would be a standard for the Jet guitars that you get. I mean, obviously, let me know if you've got any Jet guitars that were set up terribly, but I don't think that's going to be the case. This nut with this trem has been an incredible revelation for me. So fantastic, actually very surprising for a guitar at this price point. The second area, which obviously put a bit of fear in me, were these ceramic pickups. And generally, I'm not a massive fan of ceramic pickups. I think in some of these lower, more affordable guitars, they can sound brittle, they can sound a bit harsh, they don't sound fantastic. But again, this has been a very, very nice surprise. The humbucker is powerful. It's not a vintage voiced humbucker. It's very powerful. It's a very, very modern sounding humbucker, and I don't mind that at all. It sounds good. The two single coils, again, they're not as vintage as you may think by looking at the guitar, but they actually sound good. So for once in my life, I don't actually think I'm going to swap these pickups out immediately. And that was, again, a bit of a revelation for me, because my mindset is like that. As soon as I get a cheap guitar, I go immediately and swap the pickups out, because I enjoy doing it, but it's also because sometimes it feels like something's missing. I didn't get it with this, so well done on the pickups, very nicely voiced. I also am aware that if you go up in model, So you go on the slightly more expensive models, you then move to Alnico pickups, which are specifically made in Korea for them. So you see, they've actually rationally thought about the process, and I really like the kind of scale that they've had on their instruments, and it makes a lot of sense because you know exactly where you are on the scale. They keep adding little bonus features on that scale to make it very clear what you get. And you know, I think with the ceramic pickups on this, I'm very happy because for that price, I've not actually heard any better pickups than this. The controls seem very solid. There is a nice taper to the tone and the volume. Again, electronics is where people cut costs. I haven't opened it up, but whatever the pots inside are, it's just done properly. It doesn't cut off halfway through. It feels very nice. The switch is normal. Everything is actually done very well and with lots of thought. I did not think that having one volume and one tone on an S-style guitar would work this well, and it actually does. I didn't miss the second volume at all. So, quite surprising. The frets, very nice. They're not stainless steel, they are just normal nickel frets, but I've got to say, they are rounded very nicely, incredibly nice, very even. They feel great along with the roasted maple. This is truly an unbelievable neck, and I think this is what sells this guitar because the way how comfortable it is, it plays incredibly fast. The frets are, as I said, fantastic. Some of the better frets that I've played, it just feels right. Very good construction. They've put a lot of thought in it. Tuners, they're not locking, but who cares? They do their job really well. I think this is an important point. When I say things are about compromises, it is about compromises, but there is a difference between being realistic about something and compromising on something. So for me, this guitar is a perfect instrument that actually does not need anything to change. So the difference between this one and some of the other guitars that I've tried is that I really liked the other guitars, but immediately I wanted to change something. With this one, I don't get that feeling because I'd happily record with this, I'd happily play with this. Now, does that mean that I wouldn't want to put locking tuners on it? Yes, I would want to put locking tuners on it, but you have to be realistic that if you are paying $160, maybe that's something that is to be expected. And again, it does not hurt the function of this guitar. So this is actually a serious instrument. If they put a $500 price tag on this, I don't see why people wouldn't buy it. So despite any personal preferences you may have on pickups, on body style, etc., I think objectively this doesn't have a lot of competition. And the more well-known brands better be thinking about this, and I think they gave you a nice kick in the backside because this is hard to replicate. This is a very good guitar. It has vibe as well. I think the JS-400 is one of those guitars that actually moves the industry along and kind of gives some companies a good kick in the backside because this quality is very hard to beat. And not only is it the quality, because we have seen some other manufacturers that have some very nice special features like stainless steel frets and all that. But then there's always a point where you think, ooh, they didn't think about this properly because it doesn't make sense. I do not get that with this. Everything is well thought out, everything is planned. And for a company that only started in 2020, I think this is a really inspiring story about how you can change the guitar industry. So well done, Jet Guitars. This has been a true revelation, and ultimately these are guitars made for playing, made for helping you progress along that journey, and I'm astounded by what can be achieved with good thinking and passion, because you can tell that everyone who's worked on this guitar was very passionate about making an instrument that makes sense and that is made for the player. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that. That's it for the review of the JS-400. As always, please leave me comments. Let me know if you've got any Jet guitars. If you want to see any other Jet guitars, as I mentioned, they did send another one, which I'm really excited to review. So that will be coming up soon. In the meantime, stay in touch down below. I would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, keep rock and rolling, be good to each other, and have a good time, guys. See you later.